ASEAN.
Hello, I'm Atira Notajuddin, your host for Navigate ASEAN, a series of interviews with some of the region's leading public figures, brought to you by the ASEAN Post. In today's episode, we speak to Thinzar Shunlei Yi, a democracy activist from Myanmar, and also the Advocacy Coordinator for the Action Committee for Democracy Development. Today, we speak with Shunlei Yi about the 1st February coup and Myanmar's future. Thank you, Shunlei Yi, for being with us today.
Thanks for having me as well.
So Shunlei Yi, you have been an activist for almost a decade now. Can you share with us your activism journey through the years?
Thank you. So I became an activist because of the resumed civil war in Kachin State in the northern part of Myanmar. So the civil war broke out and killing a lot of young people like myself, and as well as we're seeing a lot of internally displaced people since 2011. So that basically motivated me to keep on working this activism part. So in the past 10 years has been a dramatic journey for me because I myself was raised inside a military compound, and I changed myself to become an activist against the military intervention, military kind of supremacy over the politicians and civilian supremacy inside the country. So it's been quite a rush, even for myself, my family, my background, as well as to the others as well. So I became an outspoken activist against the racism, supremacism, and all forms of discriminations against the ethnic minorities and so on. Even I had to relearn and learn many things because there are many ideologies that I learned from the military compound. So I have to change from myself, from the very beginning. I have to relearn a lot of stuff like democracy, human rights. So in the past 10 years, it's such a long journey for me and also for the country as well, because the country just opened up. We had a first election in 2010, and afterwards we had so-called democratic transition. But when we look back to the past 10 years, we had many losers, losers than the gains as well. We had gained some freedom like internet access to the world, exposures to international community. But at the same time, we had a continuous civil war. We have a continuous human rights violations. And also we had successfully kind of normalized ourselves into 2008 constitution, and as well as we had a kind of genocide happen in 2017 that drove out thousands of Rohingyas population, and we had a peace process, but a failed peace process in the past 10 years. So it was such a mixed, dramatic journey for Myanmar, even for myself as well. So that's how I could sum up. And now in the wake of revolution, everything has been changed, right? So even for myself, and also for the country as well.
Shunlei Yi, we are so inspired by your bravery. Is it safe to use your full name as a democracy activist going up against the military junta? What are the consequences if you get caught?
I use my name since the 1st February. Basically, since I became an activist, right, I use my real name because I think it's truly important to identify who I am. And also in the wake of coup is my last defense for my freedom of speech. So I still use my name, and the consequences are could be really fatal, right? Because the military is now targeting a lot of outspoken activists. So they are trying to identify who is who right now, who is stay there, trying to suppress our voices. So it's a way of protest that I keep my voice and my identity up there as a young woman, speaking up against them. So that's my way of protest and joining in the movement. So they had issued a arrest warrant for me. And in the past 3 years as well, I was charged for I organized as anti-civil war protest. And I faced trial for the past 3 years, and I was convicted with along with the other different activists, and I got a lot of threats and online and offline since last year during the COVID time. Military has been using COVID pandemic as a way to suppress our freedom of expression, freedom of movement, because in the COVID, it's all about closing the borders, right? Forcing people to stay home. So it was a right time for the military and the previous government to target at the civilians, target at especially the right defenders. And so since last year, people like myself was told to move out of our houses, find our own safe houses, and so on. And last year, I remember military intelligence were wandering around my house. They threatened my parents, my place, and they were investigating my movement from like in the morning to the evening. They've been pressuring to different media houses not to interview me as well inside the country. So that's what I heard. And I was seeing that the arrest season is coming. They're gonna be, taking more action. So we could foresee that since that time. So currently, I'm hiding uh, since the day one in the first week of the coup. I started hiding in different places around the whole country. So I'm still in hiding place.
Shunlei Yi, can you tell us about your experience on the morning of the 1st February 2021 coup?
On the 1st February, it was a time we thought like the coup idea was discussed in the last week before the 1st February, but we felt like it is not possible because the military has no way that they could do it because they are already influencing, right, in the influential role in Myanmar politics. They had 25% quota in the parliament. They control 3 main ministries in the politics, and they have all the resources and all the business affiliation. You can just name it. They are everywhere. So why would they be, why would they coup again just to get more hate from the generation? So that was we thought that was such a stupid, silly idea to stage a coup. But on the first week of February, I woke up at around like 6 a.m. with that news brought to me by my daddy, by my father, that in the morning he was a bit panicked and he told me that happened. And I couldn't believe him. I was thinking he might be joking me. And basically, I realized I couldn't call to my friends and there is no internet at all. Also, I received a lot of calls since 5 a.m. because my friends were wanting me to get out of houses because the danger is coming. But that moment I realized that actually happened, and that was the moment I fell into a deep pit, that I couldn't get out anymore, like in a very darkest era. And I also can foresee the consequences, like a lot of bloodshed, movement, freedom, and so on. I foresee a long way to tackle that since that moment on. Yeah.
Shunlei, what do you think about the manner in which ASEAN has responded to the current situation?
ASEAN is just showing off, mingling around and not eventually taking any effective actions over the military atrocities. They had all the chances if they really we want to take action or have political will. I think that's the main thing. They lack political will, and that's how their consensus out of the ASEAN leaders meeting is not taken seriously by the Honda leader, and they still ignore all the consensus that ASEAN leaders have made. So ASEAN is also failing to the country as well.
Shunlei, what would you like ASEAN citizens, concerned people across the region, to know about the current situation in Myanmar?
So ASEAN as a whole, for the government, is basically dictator's club, as we see, because ASEAN governments are somehow and somewhat depending each other on how to control the people more and more, how to restrict the freedoms, right? So we people of Myanmar count on the peoples of ASEAN, not on the governments of ASEAN. So you do matter. Every single one of you do matter to defend democracy in where you are and where we are in the region, in the whole ASEANs. So by defending the democracy in your own region is a way of defending the democracy for everyone as well. So I want the peoples of ASEAN to know that the coup is failing in Myanmar. The coup plan the Junta has set up is not yet succeeded because of the strong resistance and the solidarity from outside the inside country. So your solidarity do matter to make the coup a failure and to make the revolution a victory. So if our revolution is victorious, then that could escalate, that could inspire a lot of other different struggle around the world for democracy and human rights. So let's help each other, let's stand firm together so that we have a brighter future. So that's what I want to say to the ASEAN people.
Okay, thank you very much, Shunlei. Unfortunately, we have run out of time, but we hope to have more discussions with you again in the future. Thank you for being with us today on Navigate ASEAN. You can follow us on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and other social media channels by looking for the ASEAN Posts. I'm Atira Notajuddin. Thank you and have a good evening.
Navigate ASEAN.